Hey everybody, Nick Espinosa, your chief security fanatic here, and today we actually have to talk about your microphone when you are in a video conference meeting. Think something like Zoom or Microsoft Teams, although I'm not directly naming them, and you will see why soon. When you're muting your mic, you're not actually stopping big tech from listening in and recording you. Now here's what's going on. This is coming from NextWeb, and I think this is absolutely concerning and interesting all at the same time. Now here's what's up. Anytime you use a video teleconferencing app, you're sending your audio data to the company that hosts that service. Basically, you're transmitting that over the internet to whatever cloud or infrastructure the Zooms of the world have. And according to a new study, that means all of your audio data. This includes your voice, background noises, all these kinds of things, whether you are broadcasting, meaning you're talking in that meeting, or you are muted. Now, researchers at the University of Wisconsin-Madison investigated, quote unquote, many popular apps to determine the extent that video conferencing apps capture data while users employ the in-software mute button. And from their press release, and I quote directly, they used runtime binary analysis tools to trace raw audio in popular video conferencing applications as the audio traveled from the app to the computer audio driver and then to the network while the app was muted. They found that all of the apps they tested occasionally gather raw audio data while mute is activated, with one popular app gathering information and delivering data to its server at the same rate regardless of whether the microphone was muted or not. They don't actually mention which app that is, but I'm thinking it rhymes with Voom. Now, according to the researchers, the data could be used to extract meaningful information, and with a little machine learning, that information can paint an incredibly vivid picture of essentially what that user is doing, even if your microphone is muted. The research team was able to determine what specific audio was being sent during testing, and by extrapolating that data, they were able to predict that basically inferences, or essentially what inferences big tech could make with that data. And of course, big tech uses artificial intelligence to basically sift through everything, so the researchers built their own algorithms to study the data, and what they found was kind of nuts. And I quote from the submitted abstract, using network traffic that we intercept en route to the telemetry server, we implement a proof of concept background activity classifier and demonstrate the feasibility of inferring the ongoing background activity during a meeting, cooking, cleaning, typing, etc. We achieved 81.9% macro accuracy on identifying 6 common background activities using intercepted outgoing telemetry packets when a user is muted. Now, in other words, basically grad students from the University of Wisconsin-Madison were able to build a machine learning model capable of determining what a teleconference app user was doing while their microphone was muted with more than 80% accuracy. That is nuts. Now here's the thing, the research isn't yet published, so we don't know the specific apps tested, and I keep pointing at Zoom because Zoom has been an offender in the past, and I'll talk about that in a second here. However, the efficacy of this research in this paper isn't necessarily in doubt, since they've actually been accepted to the 2022 Privacy Enhancing Technologies Symposium, where they will present this and essentially start name dropping all of these in June, and I'm obviously anxiously waiting for that, because I think that essentially Zoom is going to be one of those ones, and we can speculate. I mean, Zoom may not be on that list, I could be wrong, but Zoom has had problems before. Obviously, they're a Chinese-based company. They were claiming to be secure and private when they weren't. Then with encryption, then one of their spokespeople in an interview with Rolling Stones magazine basically said that this is in the beginning of the pandemic, that they were sifting through essentially Zoom meetings to weed out things like adult interactive parties, if you get my drift there. And the only way they would know that is if they had actually access into the information and could see or hear what was going on in the meeting. Oops, shouldn't have said that. And so Zoom has been a complete nightmare, not to mention the fact that that company, again, based out of China, where China has horrendous privacy laws, also has, to this day, an unexplained subsidiary of over 700 Chinese nationals working for it in Zoom in mainland China. Again, nobody's talking about these kinds of things, even though they are being reported by like the Washington Post, New York Times, et cetera, et cetera. This is a huge thing. And so I think Zoom is going to be one of those, but this could be a million others. We know that some apps, and I've talked about this before, not necessarily video conferencing, will turn on the app, or turn on your microphone to listen to you. But what they are saying here is specifically, you think you have control, you're hitting mute, and the next thing you know, it's still recording. And why wouldn't it? Think about it this way. If you've ever been in a Zoom meeting, and I believe Microsoft Teams does this as well, if you hit mute and then you start talking, you get a prompt that says, hey, you're muted, you should unmute in order to talk. And how's it going to know that? It's attempting to sense. It hears what you're saying in the same way that if you have an Amazon Echo and it has to listen to everything in order to hear its trigger word, which I'm not going to say because every time I say that, I get yelled at on these things. But this is what we're talking about here. These mics are always on, they're always listening, and even when you think they're muted, they're clearly not. Basically, grad students at the University of Madison, Wisconsin-Madison, have proven that, and I think that's an important thing. So stay tuned, because once I have that report, believe me, I will be diving in, and I will be ringing that bell as far as I can, and that is your news of the day. And please like, share, follow me here on Facebook and Twitter at NickAESP, and please feel free to subscribe to me at YouTube as well. And as always, stay safe, stay online, and please, when you're using video conferencing apps, attempt to stay private. Thanks, everyone.